things have begun to get a little bit weird over here at Switchforce because we've had rumors and talks about Microsoft and Nintendo making a sweet baby. I jokingly called it an Extendo. That's funny. An Extendo, texting with Zach, and we started thinking like, hey, we have the rumor that Ori is coming. Either Ori and the Blind Forest or Will o' the Wisp. Either one. Hopefully it's Will o' the Wisp. One of those coming. Now we have a rumor that Cuphead is happening on Nintendo Switch. That had us thinking, what else could come to Switch if this partnership is going to happen? First of all, we're just going to go on the presumption that it is happening, even though it's not news, we're not reporting that it is. But for a second, let's sit here and talk about games that could happen on Nintendo Switch if this ends up happening, whether it be through Xbox Game Pass, whether it be individually on some Xbox Live app of some kind. It makes a lot of sense for Microsoft to want to bring their games over to Switch, and today we're going to talk about 5 of them that I really want and could happen on Nintendo Switch. If you like the idea, hit the thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. Twitter links in the description. Send us your feedback, we want to know what you think, but I think with that, we're going to get started. Okay, first game on the list. It's a really good one. All right, we're going to talk about Sunset Overdrive. The game was originally released in 2014, one of my favorite Xbox exclusives. And talking with Zach, we came to the conclusion that this generation hasn't really been that good for exclusive new franchises. Of course, we had God of War, Spider-Man, a whole bunch of stuff over on the Sony side that was super awesome. But as far as Microsoft, very, very quiet. Little was done. And on top of just the little being done, not a lot new. Sunset Overdrive was one of the fun, new, inventive games on Xbox One. We had a ton of enemies. We had some super awesome weapons. After all, it is Insomniac, who did go on to make Spider-Man, by the way, just to throw that out there. They do weapon design like no other. And that game was just like pure, unadulterated fun. That's how it's best described. You're railing along these like levels. It's very vertical. You're going to be going all over the place. Tons of enemies coming at you. The story wasn't the best in my opinion, but who cares? It's Sunset Overdrive and it's really, really fun. I know a lot of people want a sequel to the game. That doesn't seem like it's happening. Insomniac has completely moved on, and maybe they revisit it someday, maybe. But Nintendo fans can revisit it if we're able to play it on Switch somehow. I don't think that they can get it to run on Switch, so this would need to be like a streaming thing of some kind. Like with Game Pass, they're saying that you might be able to just stream the games, kind of how Assassin's Creed is happening in Japan. That would really work for this and for some other games on the list. Cuphead and Ori, much smaller games, those could just be like scaled down, and yeah, those make sense. But something on this scale, and we're going to talk about another game here in a bit that is on a bigger scale, we're probably going to need to stream it. I don't have a problem with that. I know I'm being selfish, but I have a pretty decent internet connection. Hopefully some of you guys do as well. But Sunset Overdrive coming to Switch would be absolutely bonkers. I think there's a couple of games that Microsoft could put out that are just going to floor people. And I think with this, they intend to floor people. This is Microsoft and Nintendo working together. There's going to need to be some surprises, and hopefully Sunset Overdrive is one of them. One of my favorite things about Sunset Overdrive is how like velocity focused. You gotta be going fast. You don't want to stand still. You never want to stand still. That was one of the big new things about this game. Like, it's a third-person action shooter, sure, but if you stand still for too long, the enemies will get you. And you're gonna need to be like grinding constantly. You're gonna need to be maneuvering. You're gonna be needing to use your abilities. All of that made this game so fun, and I can't wait to hopefully experience it again one day on Nintendo Switch. We'll see. It could happen. Next up, we're going to talk about one that kind of makes sense, because one of these had been on Xbox 360, and if it ran on Xbox 360, it could run on Switch. Although, again, if there is that streaming thing that we were talking about, it won't matter. State of Decay, the series, not just the first one. The first one came out some time ago. The second one came out last year in 2018, and they were really fun games. It's all about surviving a zombie apocalypse, going around, gathering people, starting up your community, and surviving. There is permadeath, one of my most underutilized and favorite gameplay scenarios where, hey, if this character, happens to die, they're not coming back. One of the reasons that people love Fire Emblem so much, so just to tie in a little bit of Nintendo fun there, Yes, State of Decay is so cool. The combat isn't the best in my opinion, but the exploration, going to loot, going to find medicine because your people are getting sick, it's all really fun. There are a bunch of different zombie types, and having to deal with hordes is a really good time. The second one brought in some multiplayer action, so they can somehow bring that over. Playing online with Zach would be really cool. This is another game on the list that isn't made specifically by Microsoft Studios, but is still an exclusive, sort of like Sunset Overdrive. That was made by Insomniac. This is made by Undead Labs. They haven't done a ton other than State of Decay. That's proven to be their most popular franchise that they have going on right now, but it's a really fun one, and if we can somehow get that to run on Switch and work well, even if it is through streaming, it could be an amazing time. Now, there isn't a lot there story-wise. It's all about survival. It's a zombie apocalypse. I feel like if the zombie apocalypse were to really happen, our lives would be ruined. It just becomes all about survival. So it's sort of realistic in that aspect, but the art style not being like uber realistic or anything like that definitely lends itself to maybe making that jump over to Switch. There's a ton of different clothing options and things like that, so you are encouraged to go out there and look for more supplies. It was a really fun time when I played it, and if it comes over to the Switch, the second one, I probably wouldn't replay State of Decay, the original, but if the second one happens, I'm going to take Zach with me on a zombie hunting adventure. I definitely will, and I'm going to make him not survive it, probably. We'll see. Next up, we have the big one, ladies and gentlemen, Halo the Master Chief Collection. I know, Halo on Switch, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to me, at least. I mean, I know it would be like really cool. I'm not denying the fun of it, but Halo on a Nintendo platform in any fashion, even if it is like streaming, just feels all types of bonkers, and I don't know how I'm gonna wrap my head around it. But if it does happen, this is the one big selling point for this, right? Xbox fans, Nintendo fans, they don't often mix. But if Microsoft comes out and says, hey, we have an app now on Switch, you can play a bunch of our games, including Halo, people will lose their mind. Their minds are going to be blown. People will not have a mind anymore. Maybe we'll tie it into State of Decay there, and we become zombies because we no longer have minds because Halo is on a Nintendo platform. It doesn't... Look, it almost feels wrong. I was saying to a couple friends of mine, just like talking about this stuff, like, it doesn't feel right that this is a possibility, but make no mistake, it is a possibility. Microsoft is doing crazy stuff. They need to be able to compete with the other platform holders, and it seems like they have super powerful consoles coming, right? There's a rumor that they might announce the next Xbox at this year's E3. Cool. But in the meantime, you got to make money somehow, and putting Xbox Game Pass on there, and if it is Xbox Game Pass in its full form, that means that Halo is going to be there. And boy, oh boy, Halo on a Nintendo console, people will lose their minds. If people have maybe never even played Halo because you've just been on the Nintendo side of things for so long, I don't even know what to say. The original release of the Master Chief Collection was in 2014, so it's been some time. The original Halo, I mean the one that they have in here, 2 and 3, all at some point ran on an Xbox 360. So even though they've been like updated and they can even do 4K on Xbox and all that, cool. We're not going to do that over here on Switch. We just want to play them. Halo 4, on the other hand, is a little bit more intensive, but I feel like they can make it work somehow. Again, Halo on Switch, absolutely insane. I don't know that they make it happen. I don't know how they make it happen, but they could. It's just insane to think about. If this happens, I don't know. I was going to say something crazy. I won't do anything too crazy, but if a franchise as iconic as Halo could make the jump over, then absolutely anything could make the jump over. We're not going to talk about it much, but if Halo happens and Gears could happen, there's a ton of stuff, honestly. And I would subscribe to day one, by the way. If this is a Xbox Game Pass situation, day one I'm there if I can play Halo on Switch, especially the older Halos, because I don't want to boot up my Xbox. I don't even have my Xbox plugged in. It's actually like right there, my Xbox. It's like right there. It's not booted up. My other stuff is over there, the stuff that is plugged in. So, who needs that Xbox? I'll throw the Xbox away in the trash if Halo happens on Switch. All right. The Nintendo 64, oh look, I'm wearing the shirt. That was pure coincidence. I definitely did not go to the other room and put the shirt on just for this video because I'm going to mention this game. Rare Replay has a bunch of Nintendo 64 games on it. And while we might not be getting N64 Virtual Console, this gives you some of the games that I would personally want on there, including Perfect Dark, the Banjo-Kazooie series. Who doesn't want this? We want them on Virtual Console. Maybe it doesn't happen, but Xbox brings us over the Rare Collection, which has about 30 games, and I'll go over some of them here in a bit, but 30 games, including Banjo-Kazooie, including Perfect Dark. That would be a really fun time. Viva Pinata, Conker's Bad Fur Day. I already mentioned the Banjo and Perfect Dark series. All of this happening on Nintendo Switch. It's like 30 games in one. That would be awesome. It's almost its own little small version of Virtual Console. I know not all of them were on Nintendo stuff, but that's fine. This one would be really, really cool because they are updated visually a little bit. They can all run on Switch with no problems. I believe that fully. So this would be one that would be perfectly tied in just with nostalgia alone. Playing Perfect Dark on a Nintendo console where it belongs would be so, so great. Same with Banjo. We all want remakes of Banjo. I saw someone say that in the comments just today. They're like, hey, I really want Banjo being remade. I don't know if we need Banjo remade, but we get Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie on Switch through Rare Replay. That all makes perfect sense. Synergy. And that is what this is all about. Xbox, Nintendo, synergy. Perfect. For the fifth one, let me take you a little bit back in time to a time when Xbox Live Arcade and the summer of arcade were some of my favorite moments in gaming. Games like Shadow Complex, games like Braid, a lot of really interesting and fun things were happening on the downloadable side of games back then. If we take a time machine 10 plus years back at this point, look, back then, Limbo was one of these games. It was one of those exclusives that Microsoft grabbed. They did a fantastic job with smaller indie games that were doing new things. And that was really cool in my opinion. And one of the big companies that came out of all this was the Behemoth. And they have a bunch of games that I really, really like. The one that you've probably heard of, Castle Crashers, they also had Alien Hominid. That game is really, really difficult. I never was able to finish it just because I was terrible at it. But I want Behemoth games to come over to Switch, and it could work perfectly. Castle Crashers being revitalized on Switch in some fashion would be absolutely awesome. Those games are so fun, and they fit the mold of what Switch does so perfectly. They have co-op, both online and local. You can play split Joy-Con just because the control schemes are so simple. The art style is very cartoony and beautiful, and it could 100% run on Switch if they decide to just like throw it out there. Another one not made by Microsoft, and it has been on Steam and stuff like that. We even had Castle Crashers come to other platforms, I'm aware of that, but we do have other Behemoth games that never really went anywhere except Steam. They've been on PC, but they've been console exclusives this whole time. Battleblock Theater, which came out in 2013, was honestly kind of underrated in my opinion. I had a really fun time with that one as well. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Xbox, Microsoft, Nintendo, Switch, a collaboration that happens once in a lifetime. If it happens, we'll see. I'm hoping we find out pretty soon. This is gonna be crazy. And yeah, we know that Ori and Cuphead might be coming. People have been wanting Cuphead on Switch for such a long time. It seems like Microsoft is inclined to make it happen, and I'm all for it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What other Xbox exclusive games would you like to see on Switch? Sound off in the comments below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video if you enjoyed it. I hope all of this happens. I hope that they make a perfect baby of fun. A fun baby, a fun bee. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but regardless, a lot of good stuff ahead. Nintendo still has a huge packed year. I don't even know if this ends up happening, but there's enough smoke around this that, hey, there has to be a fire somewhere. And when the fire does happen, we will be there to report for you guys. Thank you for watching. We will catch you on the next one. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Switch Force out.